What's up, guys? This is Ronnie. Welcome back to our channel Total Technology. This is one of the very new series which I actually I actually have a plan to start this thing quite maybe 2 months back, but due to some personal emergency and some other work, actually I was not able to start the series. But right now I got so many requests, so that I actually thought of again reconsidering this series. So basically this is a series with all DevOps tricks or maybe DevOps use cases. Like we have a standard DevOps course running for all the students. Whoever is actually joining my classes or courses, they already know we have a 6-month DevOps engineering training available, like from beginner to advanced level. And this is something different. Like for example, whenever you are going to start or working for some company, or maybe you are going to start as a freelancer or going to start as a contractor or whatever, like whether it is your own like interest. So we always often generally came across multiple different use cases. So those use cases are always not possible to actually consider in the training, cause use cases are kind of different and the training or usual methodologies are different. So I thought of like creating this series, so where actually everyone, like whether you are my student or like just like a like free like user from YouTube, it doesn't matter, can actually take benefit out of it. So my objective is actually covering as many as possible DevOps use cases. Like I'll try to create at least a video every day. I know I'm actually giving some sort of overwhelming like promises, but actually right now I'm ready. So probably I'll be going to at least try to upload a single video every day, and every video is going to be covered with some sort of very specific and streamlined use cases. And today's topic is actually going to be how to build a Docker like image locally from Python Flask app. For example, you have a Python Flask API running on your local, you want to actually build a Docker image from that. So that is the step one. Second thing will be how to push that image into the AWS ECR, means AWS Elastic Container Registry, means AWS like Docker repository. Okay. And after that, next objective is to pull that image and try to run it locally from another computer. For example, what I'm trying to actually achieve, let me actually try to explain this thing a little bit in detail. For example, let me just share my screen in a differently, so just hold on. Okay, so hopefully you guys will be able to understand now what I'm actually trying to do. Okay, so for example, I believe I need to actually stop the recording, and again I have to start it from the beginning, because I am not sharing my screen right now. So just give me a moment, 1 minute, and after that again I'll go. And so I'm starting have started the recording. So basically what I'm trying to do here, so basically suppose this is your local computer. This is your local computer. Okay, so I can just write it here. This is your local. So inside the local computer we have a Flask API running. Okay, you have a Flask API running inside a local computer, and first objective is actually, with this Flask API you are actually going to build a image, Docker image. Okay, so image is actually available in your local computer still. Right now, next objective actually, you have to push this image from your local computer to AWS ECR, which is Elastic Container Registry for AWS. So now this image is available into AWS. So now it is actually available for everyone means if you are using a company AWS account, so maybe it's a private, so whoever is actually having the credential to access the like repository, they are only able to access it. Now suppose you are a developer, you did your job. Now as an end users are actually available here everywhere. Like these are the end user. So maybe one of the end user logs into his computer, and after that his objective is actually try to pull this image from here. So maybe he will go and pull the image from here and try to run a Docker container in this computer. Okay, so that is the last step. Means you build an application here, we are going to create the image out of this application and push this to ECR, and after that the same image actually going to be downloaded by one of the end user, and that end user is actually going to run that image as a container from his local computer. So this is the end-to-end actually workflow of this thing. So now we'll be going to actually start working on it. Okay, so just do one thing. Let me actually start. Okay, so basically this is the thing actually we did. Just hold on, let me stop the recording. Which we actually talk about just now, we actually talked about. So first is actually are going to actually build a local Flask API, and with the help of Flask API we are going to build a Docker image, and after that we are going to push that image to the AWS ECR, and after that that image will be available for the end user and they can actually go and download and use it. Okay, so that is the overall objective. Okay, so now let's go. For doing that, I have actually created a few steps here from the slide. So if you just go here, this is the steps. First, code will be, all the codes will be shared from my GitHub repository. So first we'll be going to do a Docker file creation. So basically there is a actually catch. So Python code with Python code for Flask app or API, both are same. Okay, so these are the same. First we'll be going to build a Python code with the Flask API, then code will be shared via GitHub, then we're going to create a Docker file, then we'll set up the image locally. After that we configure our AWS, and after that we'll create a repository inside ECR, and after that we'll be going to push the image to the ECR, and after that we'll be going to pull the image from ECR and run a container from it. So that is the thing. Okay, so let's try to do it. So first of all, let me open my VS Code. Right, so I have opened my VS Code, and after that I'll be just go and open a folder. So I'll go into documents. I have a GitHub repository, so I'll go and open my GitHub repository. Then I'll be going to use DevOps tricks, and after that I'll be just going to open this thing. So these are day one, so I have created everything. Okay, so let me maximize this window. So everything is here. So now let me first create a Python API.py. Okay, so this is the first thing. Okay, so what I'll do now, I'll be going to write the code. So I believe all of you are actually familiar with Python and Flask. Those are not familiar, I have multiple videos running on my channel, and also if you want to join our full stack engineering class with the Python, can actually reach out to me. We can provide you some sort of discount for our class. Okay, so it will be from Flask, import Flask, right, and then we'll be going to actually write a application, so app, then we'll be going to Flask. Okay, and then we'll be going to write name. Okay, done. Then we'll be going to create a route. So I'll be going to create a small route, simple route, not much difficult. So first of all, it will be app dot route. Okay, and it is going to be something like this. Slash means home route, nothing much, and after that we'll be going
Ronnie,
hello,
you cannot see your screen, so you're just showing your desktop, but
you can't see my screen.
No.
Just hold on. Okay, so basically, just hold on. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so something like that. Okay, and after that I can just go and write def, and after that we can just write index. Okay, so something like this. Okay, so basically if you see here, this is actually going to tell that you have a route, and the route, in my case the route is basically going to be a home route. Okay, so means I have only one how to actually explain. I'm just trying to explain this thing. If someone is not from Python, for them actually this is actually called decorator function. Means the function is actually decoratorize with some sort of like route. Like for example, if API has multiple route, like for example in API basically API has multiple endpoint, and every endpoint is actually having some sort of like task. For example, one of the endpoint is actually going to give you some sort of read operation, one of the endpoint is going to give you some sort of write operation, and for everything you have a separate task. So basically in our case we have only one endpoint, okay, and that endpoint is actually the root like the home endpoint. So basically I just given a wrong slash, it will be something like this, and in the endpoint I just going to do nothing. I'll be just going to write return and something like okay, right? It means if you able to reach out to this endpoint, you'll be going to see an okay is actually printed or displayed in your browser. And after that you don't have to do anything. Basically you have to just write if name underscore equals to then this and this main, okay, like this. So what will happen, we'll be going to execute that app dot run, and here actually we'll be going to write our host is going to be like all every port it should be reachable, and our port should be, let's say I'll be just going to write our port should be 5000, okay. So that is the objective of our thing. So now if I execute this program from here, just because I am using VS Code, I can easily execute this thing here. So what will happen, let me just close this thing, and it is basically running. If you see here it is saying something like this, okay. So basically it is complaining that port 5000 is used by another program, so I need to use some other port. So maybe I can just write something different port, so 5050. So in my computer multiple programs are running, so I cannot use that port, so it is asking me that I should use another port. So I'll just go and run this thing. Now if you see, it is giving me an IP address. So generally it's a localhost IP address. So what I'll do, I'll just go here and I'll try to open my localhost here, okay. So local host, and I'll be just going to write 5050, okay. The moment I write 5050, if you see I got okay. Now I'll be do one thing. So maybe I can just go and change this thing. Let me just stop this thing with Control C. It is stopped. And I'll be just going to write hello from Flask, just to make you guys like sure that we are actually running the same application. So it's running. Now if I just go and refresh this thing, see I got this thing, hello from Flask, okay. So similarly I have this endpoint. So basically you can have multiple endpoints. So probably what I'll do now, I'll be just go and route another endpoint, and this endpoint I just go and write display, something display, and in the display I can just write display from Flask. So I'll be just going to write this display function. So you can write any name, just for sake of like simplicity I'm just going to give the same name. Now what I'll do, I'll just go and stop this thing and again execute this thing. Again there is something called hot reloading is available. So the moment you do some changes, it will automatically debug or deployed. So I'm not using into that much details because that is some sort of Python or Flux tutorial. So now if you see, I'll be going to have now two endpoints. So let's try to do this thing. So one point is home and another endpoint is basically display. So just write the display here. So see, I'm just going to get a display. So this is actually full-fledged API is running from my local, and trust me, this took only 10 minutes of time to completely like build this API. Now our objective is actually go ahead and actually create some sort of like Docker image out of it, okay. So for creating a Docker image out of it, we generally need a Docker file. So I'll be just going to create a Docker file, dockerfile, and I'll be just going to write the code inside here. So Docker file I'll be going to build. For if you remember, for building a Docker file, first thing is actually what you need an operating system, okay. So once you have the operating system available, then basically you can do anything. So first thing is actually we'll be going to write from Python. So I'll be going to actually need an operating system with the latest Python, okay, done. Then I'll be just going to write a label maintainer, okay. So label maintainer in my case like main maintainer, tainer. Label maintainer is going to be, maybe I can just write my name here over there. So something like this. It is not mandatory, but you can actually write this thing. This is basically a good practice, okay. So nothing else, like good practice. So probably let me check maintainer. Label maintainer is actually going to be some sort of spelling mistake I generally do, so that is why I just check. So I'll be just going to set up an work directory. So you can actually select anything. I'm just going to write usr local, maybe usr app and src, so something like that. So it is going to be my local directory, working directory, and after that I'll be just going to actually run pip. Okay, so run pip, then install, and then Flask. Okay, so basically it is going to install Flask on this. First it will go and download this operating system, then we'll set up by working directory, and after that it's going to install the Flask, because we definitely need a Flask. Apart from that it is not going to run. Then I'll be just going to copy my api.py file to my here. So I'll be just going to copy api.py to here, to my root in my computer. So this copy should be actually capital COPY, and last thing is actually we'll be going to run everything. So run everything means actually we need to actually run a terminal. So it will be cmd, and inside that we'll be just going to build whatever things we are actually required. So we'll be going to require Python, and we'll be going to write api.py. So that these are the two things we required, api.py. So right, so done. I don't know like why there is an error label maintainer is this. So I don't know like why the error is coming basically. So I don't know, like is it going to be small? No. Okay, Python latest label maintainer, yes. So I just now understood, so it should be label maintainer equals to this. Okay, now it's fine. Now before I do something a little bit of Docker or DevOps tutorial. So let me check first how many images are in my computer. Docker images. So right now I have no images are available. Now I'll be just going to write Docker container. Okay, so we'll be just going to write Docker ps and see. So I have no like images are available in my computer, and I have no container running on my computer. Okay, so first I'll be just going to build an image out of it. So the image build operation is going to be very easy. So it is going to be Docker. Okay, so Docker, then build, then -t, then I'm just going to give a name to this thing. So maybe I can just write day 1 and Flask, day 1 Flask. Okay, I'm just going to build a day 1 Flask. Okay, so after that we'll be just going to write this thing. Okay, so Docker build -t day 101 day 01 -Flask. This will be my image name. So if I, the moment I create this thing, it is going to build an image, and that image will be available here. If I just run the Docker images command, after that I'll be able to see that. Okay, so let's do it. So see, it is going to build an image out of this. So it is basically building a Docker image. So it is available now. So if I just do Docker images now, see that image is available here. Can you see this thing with this name? Now let's go here. So I actually completed this part. This part will be given at the editor. Docker file creation is done, and local image is also done. Now I'll be just going to set up and configure my AWS from my local. Okay, so for that basically you need to actually do something called AWS configure command from your local computer. So I've already configured this thing, but if you don't have the AWS configured already, then basically you have to actually get your access ID and secret key from your AWS IAM user, and you can just do it. Okay, so that is the part where actually we'll be actually going to set up the credential. And remember, this is the most important step. If you do not configure your AWS from your local, then only will be able to, you actually won't be able to actually access your repository or nothing from your terminal. Okay, so that step is very important, like AWS configure. So I'm not going to do that in detail, because again it's a kind of a trick. So I hope you guys already know those things. Because of that you guys are doing actually some advanced. But if you do not know this basic like tutorial, then probably you can just go ahead and watch my tutorial, or else you can actually join our course as well. I'm just going to give you guys some sort of discount code. If you're directly coming from our YouTube video, you have to just mention me in my DM that you are actually coming from our YouTube audience base. Okay, so now next thing is actually create an repo inside ECR. So what I'll do, I will just go ahead and open my AWS account. So console.aws. so let me just open my AWS. Okay, and what I'll do, elastic container registry is here available. So I'll just go and see, I have already created a repository. So I'll just delete everything here. So delete, I'll just going to do everything from the fresh. So create a repository. So I'll be just going to give the same repository name. I'll be going to repository name is day 01 Flask. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and give this name, and after that I'll just create the repository. So repository creation is done. Next thing is that you have to actually push this image. For if you go here, create repo is done, push the local image to the AWS ECR. So for that thing you need to actually follow some commands. So what I'll do, I'll just go ahead and you need to go and command. So commands are available here, you don't have to remember anything, just go ahead. And now I'll be just go ahead and try to do it from AWS. Okay, from my VS Code. So first of all, I'll just do a clear and paste the first command. Okay, so it is going to log in first. Okay, so login succeed. Next thing is actually it is going to build the Docker build image. So image is available, it is not going to do anything. I'm just going to run this thing just sake of simplicity. So it's already there. Okay, so if I just go ahead and check, the same thing will be, see, the same image is actually available. Okay, same image, nothing changed. Okay, and now next thing is actually we're going to tag the image with the latest. So latest tag. Okay, so let me just do something. So the image has been tagged. So right now the image has not already image has a tag available. I again as did a tag. So if you see here, okay, so now the image has a tag with this thing, see. Okay, it is created this image with the tag. Okay, right. So now what will happen, now I'll be just going to push the image to our AWS. Okay, so for example, I just copy the image. Now I'll be just going to see, I have no image right now. Okay, so the moment I push this thing, let's do it. So it is pushing the image to my AWS. Okay, so let's wait for some time. If you see, there is image is getting pushed at 487 MB. Okay, done. It's still pushing, so it pushed. Let's wait for some time. Yeah, it's done, and it is showing the digest as well. So if I just refresh this thing, see the digest and everything is available. So up to this point everything is done. Now our job is actually pull this image and run a container from it. So before doing that, let me just go ahead and check docker ps. So I have no container running on my computer, so I'll be just going to pull this image in my computer only. So for pulling, there is a command. So it should be docker pull. Okay, so before pulling this thing, just because I have all the images are available here, like just let me open. So I have images are available here, so I'll be just going to pull the same image. So for sake of simplicity, I'll just going to delete everything from my computer. Okay, so let me open my docker dashboard. So if you see, these two images are available. So what I'll do, I'll just go ahead and delete everything. Okay, so I remove and I remove. So it's a docker desktop. Okay, so I delete everything. So right now I have nothing. So what I'll do now, I'll just go ahead and pull docker pull, and I'll be just going to get the, for the pull I need the URL. So I'll just go in URI. Okay, and I paste this thing. So what will happen, it is go ahead and pull. So right now if you see here, I have nothing here, no images are available here. And also if I run another terminal here, okay, and if I just write docker images, so I have nothing. Okay, so let's execute this thing first. Okay, so it is start getting, see, I just started the pulling. So see, it is showing something and the image is available. Okay, so let's just push this thing here. See, my image is actually available here. Now the image available here. Okay, so it's everything is available now my image is available here. Now I'll be just going to run this image from my computer. So right now nothing is there localhost. So just sake of like understanding, my docker container is actually running on 5050 port. Sorry, the Flask application is running actually 5050 port in my docker. Okay, so now I'll be just going to use 5051 port and expose this thing with the docker container 5050 port. So let's try to run this thing. Okay, so image is available here. Okay, so now what I'll do, I'll just go ahead and run docker run -it. I'll just going to give a name to this thing. Maybe I can just write name day 01 flask Okay, and after that I'll be just going to write -d, means daemon service port. So 5051 is my local computer port, and 5050 port is actual port of the container, and in that port what is running actually. So I have to give the name of this image, okay, my image. Okay, so let's execute this thing. So right now if you go here in the container, I have nothing. Okay, so let's run this thing. So execute this thing. Let's see what is going to happen. Okay, sorry, there is a mistake actually. -it, and after that probably I have to give a name. Basically I forget. Okay, the command, sometimes I just do mistake on the command, so it will be a double hyphen basically. So I just use a small hyphen. Yeah, if you see this container is running, and if you see the container is running here with this name day01 flux. Now objective is actually we need to go and check in the 5051 port actually things are running or not. Localhost and 5051, can you see this thing? 5051 port, and if I just go ahead and do display, you also do this thing. And there is one more thing I would like to show you guys. So this is actually running on Docker container, and Docker container is actually running in here. Actually you can see that the container is running. So container is actually running on port 5050 port, but that port is actually forwarded to my local computer 5051 port. Okay, so this application is not running on my computer. This application is running inside a Docker container. And if you want to just see this thing, just open this thing CLI, and after that I'll just go and curl. So in the curl I'll just write localhost, and I'll just write 5050. See, I got hello from Flux. Okay, so this is actually the actual container, actual Linux machine where my when my application is running. That is called container. Now I'll be just going to do the same thing again. CURL curl, and after that I'll be just going to write localhost and 5050/display. Okay, right? So this is actually the container where my Flask application is running, and this is my local machine from which I am actually accessing the container. I'm actually accessing the application which is running on the container on this port. So container is running the application on port 5050 port, but I am accessing the application on port 5051 port. Why I am actually able to do this thing? Because I actually exposed my local computer 5051 port with 5050 port. Okay, this is the important thing, and most of the students or professionals are having doubt or confusion regarding this thing, how actually try to create a container, how to push into AWS ECR, and after that how to actually pull the same image into a local computer, and how to run this thing. So these are the things basically, guys. If you follow, then it will be a very easy, right? So in last 20 minutes time, I probably I think I'm able to actually clear out all the doubts whatever you guys are having on ECR kind of a thing. So it's a buzzword. Basically it's kind of a Docker hub kind of a thing. Like in the Docker hub you go ahead and download everything, and in the ECR also you have actually, it's a private like repository. It's maintained by every company. Like if you have a AWS account, you can actually maintain that ECR. So same thing, similar sort of setup. The push pull commands are actually going to work in the same fashion, like whatever actually you use. Okay, so I think enough of talking and enough of the use cases. So hopefully you guys actually get some idea. So let me just push this thing to my GitHub, day 01 tutorial. So commit, and after that I push the changes. So now everything is available in my repository. So once the class is over, I'll be just go ahead and give you the repository link. But let me just add this thing here also, so that nothing will be missed. So my repository here, so DevOps tricks. So this is day 01. So I just go ahead and give this thing. So every tutorial will be actually going to be focused here. Okay, so that's it, guys. So that's all for today. Hope to see you in the next tutorial tomorrow. that is very soon. Okay, and just request guys, I'll be just going to upload the video in YouTube in few minutes, so try to actually post some comments, try to share your like support with the help of some sort of share button, with the like button. Try to put some comments so that actually it will help me to actually customize my tutorial or tricks for the next video. If you guys having some sort of special requirement, whether it is your like own learning purpose or whether you are working for some company that actually are facing some difficulties to actually executing some use cases, please reach out to me. I'll try to incorporate all this thing in our upcoming tutorial. Maybe I can also like include those things in our like use cases as well. And also try to like share our videos with your family and friends, and try to do subscribe to our channel if you are like seeing this video for the first time, and don't forget to actually hit the bell icon so that none of the notifications is actually getting missed by you, because as I told you, like you are very active on the YouTube. Again, for last couple of months I'm not that much active, but again I'm just going to give a lot of time on the YouTube. Okay, so that's it guys, we'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care, goodbye, have a nice day.